Hey guys, it's Tara, president of Richter Publishing, coming to you with another episode in our YouTube series where we are discussing everything about writing, editing, publishing, and marketing of your book. Today we're going to answer a question from one of our YouTube viewers who wanted to know how to get her books into the library system. This is a lot of information, and there's a lot of acronyms and different terminology for this segment. I have my own notes here because I do not have a degree in library in the libraries. I am not 100% expert on this, but from working in the publishing industry for about 10 years, I will give you my experience of starting to get the books into the library systems. Obviously, for more information, you can go to your local library, speak to a librarian, someone that's gone to school for it, so that they can give you all the ins and outs. But I will share with you my experience doing this, especially in Richter Publishing for the last 6.5 years. So now, the interesting thing with libraries is that they are government ran. So we all know with government, things go very slowly. And they're also difficult at change and trying to do anything streamlined or easy. So the interesting thing is libraries are actually ran by the different counties. So it would be absolutely wonderful if we could go to one person who ran all the libraries in the entire US and said, hey, I want to get my book into the library system. And that one person said, yes, of course, we'll go ahead and buy 1,000 copies to distribute to all the libraries in the US. And that was it, and you could go on your day. Unfortunately, it is not that easy at all. After about 3 years in business, we really started researching the library system. We started going to the library trade shows. They have a huge conference once a year that has about 30,000 some librarians in attendance, and it's about a week long of lots of information. I would highly suggest going to it if this is something that you want to tackle, because it is not easy, my friend. Let me tell you, it is not easy at all. So getting as much information as possible and networking and getting to know librarians, how they think, how they function, definitely is going to help you in the long run. So that being said, so first of all, it is ran by the county. So in order to get your book into the library systems, you're going to have to start by going to each county. So for example, I live in the state of Florida. Our company is based out of the state of Florida. Honestly, I should have Googled this before I started the video. I'm not really sure exactly how many counties there are in Florida, but there's a lot. It's a very big state. So I think maybe it's like 20 or 25. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But there's a lot of counties. So I can't even just go to one person to get my books into the libraries of the state of Florida. Instead, you have to go to every single county. And every county runs the library system differently. So for example, around here, I'm actually located in Pinellas County. Next door to us, which is Tampa, is Hillsborough County. North of us is Pasco County, and then south of us is Manatee County. So that's 4 counties that I can drive to within an hour distance. So even if I wanted to try to get my books into those that I would consider somewhat local, I would have to have 4 different contacts. Okay, so then within those counties, there's maybe 20 some different libraries. There could be more, there could be less. And within that, say, within like Pinellas County, there are the local libraries that you can just drive up and walk to. Then there's the school libraries. Then there are libraries in colleges. So there's all different variations of libraries. Libraries in the elementary school, library in the middle school, library in the high school, and then college, academia libraries, and then just public libraries. So now you're dealing with a whole slew of libraries. So, for example, like the books we have here, Work Sucks, we would not try to get that into an elementary school library, obviously. Rhino the Bully was actually written by a middle school teacher, and it's all about bullying in the school system and how the bullies get involved in the teachers and everything. So this is a really good one for the school libraries. Public libraries too, but school libraries absolutely, because you're dealing with a certain topic that is really hot right now, especially with social media, internet bullying and stuff like that. Doesn't quite get into that. It's obviously about like football. But anyway, this would be a great one for middle school libraries. So once again, you have to know your book, you have to know the subject matter, and pitch it to the right library system. So with that being said, let's go back to the county level. So for us here in Pinellas County library systems were completely different than Hillsborough County library systems. And funny enough, it's easier for us to get our books into the Hillsborough County library system versus the Pinellas County library system. Wherever you live, you should go to your local library and just walk in and ask. If you already have a published book, walk in and ask, say, hey, I'm a local author. I would like to get my book into your library system. How do I go about doing that? Because in Hillsborough County, they actually have a local author program. So you go to their website, you print off this form, you fill out all the information, your name, address, phone number, everything, and then you mail in 2 copies of your books. They will actually then stock it in the library because you're a local author, and they have a section for local authors. Then they do, every month they have a local author spotlight where they'll promote 5 or 6 different authors, put your bio, your headshot, the link to your book, and then sometimes they'll do like book signings and events and stuff like that. So Hillsborough County is actually really good about promoting local authors. So we found that out, and since our company used to be in Tampa, we started sending in all of our books under our address because we're the publisher. So that worked for a couple times, and then they kind of caught on, and they're like, no, you can't do this, because obviously not all of our authors live in Tampa. But it was a great way to get them, their books into the system, because once it's in the system, then somebody can check it out and return it to a different, library, and then the books kind of rotate around, which is cool. Once you get your book into the library, you can see when it's checked out and where it went and how the book's kind of migrated, so that's kind of fun. But they then changed their policy, and the author has to be the one with the address who lives in Tampa, which makes sense for them to be in the local author segment of their library. So definitely go to your local library and ask if they have something like that for local authors. Now, Pinellas County, on the other hand, is completely different. Theirs isn't as user-friendly. You have to give a copy of your book, and they then put it on a shelf for a local author shelf. If no one comes to check it out, then basically you get your book back. So not as friendly, unfortunately. So others in Pinellas County kind of get the shaft. But definitely go into your local library, ask them, get involved, start doing things. Libraries want community events. They want informational events. If you could set up a workshop to talk about your topic, and it would of course have to be free because it's at the library, but then you would pull people in, get to know your librarians. If you're just, hey, this is what's in it for me, that's not going to be a really good pitch. What's in it for them? What's in for the community? They're always trying to market and bring more people into the library. So think outside the box. Think about how you can help them. How can you make their job easier? Which, going back to making their job easier, a couple of things that your book needs to have in order to get into the library system is a bunch of different codes. So if you say self-published, you're probably not going to have these codes. So before you even start to go into the library systems, the things that you have to have first are a Mart Code and an LCCN. So what the Mart Code is actually called, the definition is MARC, and it stands for Machine Readable Cataloging. It's a set of digital formats for the books, and it is the International Standard of Bibliography Data, bibliography. Have a hard time pronouncing that word. For the card cataloging. Everything back in the day used to be like the physical cards that you would go through and try to find a book when you're in high school and had to write a paper. And now everything's online and digital and you just Google everything. But back then, it was that card cataloging system. So basically, you have to have the codes for your books to get into the card cataloging system. So traditional publishers, they know this very well. They have very good relationships with the librarians, and then they usually have a membership to WorldCat, which I can't remember exactly what that is, but I know it's like the library system. I can't even get into WorldCat because I'm not a big enough publisher. I don't publish enough books a year to get into that. So that is like for the big guys. But for the small guys, small publishers like myself, and for self-publishing, you need to get the Mart Code. Okay, so that is the list of data that the libraries need to catalog your book to put it into the system. The other thing you need is the LCCN, which is a Library of Congress control number, and then there's also the LCC, which is a Library of Congress classification, which is used in the U.S. and some other countries. I'm not sure how important the LCC is, but I do know when we were doing the research, like we had to have all of these codes on our books. Now, thankfully, we did already have these codes, a note to myself, when I started doing research, because we register all of our books into the Library of Congress. We do that because A, we're protecting the book. You need to do that. You need to protect your book if you self-published. And by registering it into the Library of Congress, then they make the Mart Code, and then you have the LCCN, and then you have the LCC. So doing that first is then going to get you all the codes that you need. Now, once again, this is the Library of Congress. It is government, and it is slow. So when we apply for the Library of Congress and all the other numbers, it usually takes about a year for us to get the paperwork back. And it's also not an easy site to navigate. I'll list the website here so that you can go to it and actually register your book. It's only $55. However, it's $55 and you have to fill out everything right. If you make a mistake or there's something wrong, then it will go away, it'll expire, whatever, and then you have to do it over again and spend more $55. So it's not an easy program to navigate, because why would the government want to make anything easy? Of course they don't. So, but that's the first thing. Go to the Library of Congress, send in your book, get it registered, get those codes, then go to your local library, start asking them, go to networking events, go to the big conference for the libraries. I can't remember the name of that again right now, but I'll look it up and put it here after I edit the video. And anybody can just go get a table. You can purchase a table for various amounts, have your book. That's what Myron did here. He went to the large conference. It was in New Orleans. I flew up there to meet him as well. It was him and his daughter, and they were selling the books, pitched them to libraries. He did pretty well. I think maybe he sold like 30 or 40. But, sometimes if it's a person who's in charge of a lot of libraries, you might want to give them a free copy to review it. But definitely, pitch to them like what this book can do for their library, how it can help them, how it can, bring them in. Like, this is a good topic about bullying. So they can have an event about how to stop bullying, and that can involve teachers, on the one side of it, the teachers and the parents, how do we stop this from happening? And then of course the kids, have an assembly at the school, have the books there. The school could buy X amount of books. So then, everyone in that class gets a book. You really got to just think outside the box. How can you help them? How can you spread awareness? All those kinds of things. But you can get a table. Any just regular self-published author can get a table at the library trade shows, and it's just massive. I would highly recommend bringing a team of people, because you can't be at your table 24/7 and go to all of the informational sessions that they have, which is a ton. It is just overwhelming. You can't get to everything that you want to get to. but it's definitely a good way to network and get to know people, get to know the system, get inside the librarian's brain. I am an entrepreneur. I am a go-getter. I am a loud talker. I am everything that librarians are not. So funny story, it cost $5,000 to get a booth at one of the conferences. Now you can spend less, but I had to bring all of my books. So I was representing, all of my authors in Richter Publishing. And it was the first one, and it was in Atlanta. Now, one of our popular books is by Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank. Here in the Tampa Bay area, everybody knows who he is. It's a really easy pitch. Almost everyone's watched the Shark Tank. So we have these banners with the sharks, attacking. And that just always draws people. No matter when we do events, if we have that banner, people come up and they talk to us and they get it, and it starts the conversation. Well, at the library, I think it was 3 days, we had the banner up, and the librarians were walking by and they were scared. They were like, oh my gosh, I don't like sharks. I don't want to talk about sharks, cause it is kind of an aggressive, banner, but so is the Shark Tank. The beginning of the show has hammerheads swimming around the buildings, and that's what it is. But for librarians, they're not necessarily entrepreneurs. They're not necessarily that, in your face kind of person. And I'm not trying to stereotype here, but from all the ones that I've met and all the conferences I've been to, it's usually women, in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, more mild manner, soft-spoken type of personality. They're not that aggressive entrepreneur like I am. So even in pitching to these librarians, I was turning them off. I wasn't speaking their language. I wasn't appealing to their psyche of what they want. And, I'm used to dealing with Fortune 500 CEOs. I'm used to stepping toe to toe with the big guys. And so I always have to be more aggressive. And in this, I had to tap into my femininity, and it's not something I do all the time in business. So it was really a big learning lesson and interesting thing. So I walked around, the area, the trade show, and was seeing, where are all the librarians? Because they weren't at my table. What is drawing them in? What do they like? And the one big marketing thing that everyone else was doing was cats. And I hate to say it, and it's so stereotypical, but oh my God, the cat posters and cat bags and cat promo stuff and everything cats. And that's what drew them in. And it was like, wow, just mind blown, because I've never had to market to librarians before. That's not my expertise. My expertise is business owners. So I took the banner down of the shark because it was scaring them. That helped. My boyfriend that was with me at the time, which we were no longer dating, had this really scowly look on his face. And I was like, look, you need to leave the table because you're not helping either. And then, I started to get more people to approach my table. And the one thing that they were interested in was my dating jungle books. I just put that one away because a lot of them are single. So I ended up, interestingly enough, if I put the dating jungle books up front, then I got more of the librarians to talk to me because they, wanted dating advice. So dating and cats. We actually ended up making some stickers. Actually, let me pull one out here for you to show you once I decided how we were supposed to market to them. And I started doing this whole sticker series of cats and dogs. And it says, Richter Publishing rated 5 paws up as the most perfect publisher. So these are good little bookmarks. I put paw prints on the back of them, were perfect. So I just kind of took the cues of walking the floor and seeing what the other businesses were doing, and then, just mimic that because they've been doing it for years and years, much longer than I have. And, you got to use whatever works. They obviously knows what works. Sharks don't work, even though it wasn't the Shark Tank. The other thing is that most of them didn't even know what the Shark Tank was. And that just blew my mind. How can you not watch the Shark Tank? seriously? That's been out for so long that, like, I hadn't even written my first book when the first episode of the Shark Tank came out. And my dad and I were both entrepreneurs. We sat down and watched that, and we were doing the whole calculation of the evaluation of their business and how much money, like they do all the time, and would discuss it, and I just love it. Absolutely love that show. But that's because I'm an entrepreneur. Librarians are not entrepreneurs. So when you're marketing anything in life, any business, any product, you have to know who you're marketing to. So the libraries is a very interesting beast to find out how it works. It's difficult. I'm going to tell you, it is not easy. Now, I think there's something around like 160,000 some libraries just in the US. If I could get all of our books into all of those libraries, oh my gosh, me and all my freaking authors could retire and be multimillionaires. But it is not easy. It is not easy at all. So that's what we have. The first thing you want to do, definitely register your book into the Library of Congress. Get those Mart codes, get the LCCN numbers, get all of the data first. Because basically when you get that data, you are going to make the librarian's life easier. If you just walk in off the street with a self-published book that has none of the classifications for the cataloging system, then they have to sit and do that themselves. So then you're making their job harder. So you want to make their job easier. And that's what the traditional publishing industry knows. They do all the work for the libraries, so that it's just an easy, push to get it in there. Then, knowing what type of library. Is it going to be just the regular public library? Is it for an elementary school? Is it an academia? Where does your book fit? Then going to the trade shows, hobnobbing with librarians, getting to know them, becoming their best friend, then it's going to be that much easier. Once again, your book is a business. You have to treat it like a business. So I hope that answers your questions about libraries. I know there's a lot more information that I could add to this, but that's basically what I know from doing this for the last 10 years. And obviously, if you speak to a librarian, they're probably going to give you a lot more exact information. This is just what I have learned in the last 10 years. So, of course, if you need any more information about writing, editing, and publishing your book, you can go to our website, richterpublishing.com. Go to /resources tab if you want some free information to help you write your book. And if you want to contact us, go to the Contact Us tab, fill out the questionnaire, let us know a little bit more about you and the book that you're looking to write. And I hope to see you soon in the next YouTube series. Bye.